had occasion over the last decade or more to work with young people on a volunteer basis. Many of these juveniles, normally ages 13 to 17, have been in trouble to one degree or another with the legal system. And we have an opportunity to go in and work with them and share our stories and hopefully share the gospel of Christ with them. One of the things that I've found out over the years is that despite what these kids are being taught in school, they still believe there's a God out there. They don't believe the world made itself up out of nothing. But the problem is they don't believe in a personal God who's there for them and there to help them. There's a reason for this, and I'd like to talk about that. When I ask them if they're in trouble, do they pray? Many of them say yes, but God never answers. Others just don't believe God hears them or wants to answer their prayer. They don't believe they deserve His aid and comfort. So I want to talk about the roots of some of this, and probably going to lay it out in a short 3-part series, 8 to 10 minutes each, to try and get at the heart of this and what the real issue is with God. One way to look at this is I compare it to, let's say, a 12-year-old boy out on the street who hasn't eaten all day, and he goes up to two men on the street, and he asks both of them for money for lunch and says, I haven't eaten and I'm hungry. One of those men is a total stranger. The other just happens to be his father. Which one is more likely to take care of the boy? Now, the stranger may be a good Samaritan and give him a few bucks, but most of us, I think, with common sense, would answer this as an obvious question and answer, that the boy's father would want to take care of him. There's no difference here, really, between this boy looking to be taken care of by his father and our looking to God for help. The stranger has no relationship with that boy. The father does. They're one family. And that's really the heart, I think, of having faith in God. It's not just believing that He is and coming to Him when we're in trouble, but it's really coming into a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. The Bible tells us in John 3:16 that God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever believes in Him will not perish, but will have everlasting life. We broke our relationship with God way back in the Garden of Eden when we exercised our sovereign delegated right to make moral choices. God embedded that right in human beings. We can decide and choose between right and wrong. When we made that choice to go against God in disobedience, we broke a relationship with Him that was only reestablished through Jesus Christ, the perfect sacrifice for our sin and the perfect remedy for it. We can't fix ourselves. So God sent His Son really to pay the price for us for our sin and restore that relationship with the loving God. If there is no relationship, why would God feel obligated to answer our prayers? He takes care of nature. The Bible tells us that a sparrow doesn't fall to the ground without God's knowledge. And He sends rain on the evil and on the good, and He brings forth crops and in season and so forth. So there's an overall principle where God cares for His creation. But that doesn't mean that you have a personal relationship with Him that enables you to call on Him in times of trouble and in times when you're not in trouble, with the confidence that He hears you and intends to answer. The Bible tells us that if we confess with our mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in our heart that God raised Him from the dead, we'll be saved. The Bible tells a number of stories about God's love for us and desire for a relationship with us. And it's that relationship that sets the foundation for the Christian for how he lives out his life and why he can depend on God not just to hear our prayers but to answer them.